team and that's for real. Oh, you said something. When the kickoff, he gon' kneel. I don't wanna hear nothing if it ain't about the Bills. Running out the tunnel, better stay up on your heels. We might leave your ankles on the field, put you on the rail. How you feel? Feel the watch the sweep just like a broom. Hail Mary and put his GM in a tomb. Make some room, call it time out, cause they not ready. Think they feeling all the pressure, cause they know I apply it heavy. Try to cover one-on-one, my cuss gon' be too really. Have him watching all that film while he's snuggling on his teddy. Man, who let me step up in the game with a mindset of making sure I'm heard and point intended. It ain't time yet. When it is.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Bill's World. It's not Monday yet, but we got a victory, Coach. I'm Justus General Radford. As always, I'm joined by the legend in 2 games, no Pee-wee championship coach, Muki Hawkins in the building. What's going on, Coach? How you doing, man? How you feeling tonight?
I'm feeling pretty good. You know, like you mentioned, it is a victory today, and you know, when people wake up, it'll be a thing called Victory Monday, and then go vote on Tuesday.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Definitely vote Muki Hawkins. All right. Make sure you get out there to those booths for this election day. And you're going to have a smile on your face while you voting this week if you live in Western New York as the Buffalo Bills take down the defending AFC champion, Kansas City Chiefs. They come into Buffalo again. Now, this is 5 straight years, Coach. The Chiefs then played the Bills in the regular season, and the Buffalo Bills has had their number. Now, I understand playoffs is a different story. I get all that. I'm aware of it, right? But this ain't the playoffs, right? We ain't in the playoffs. The Bills cannot play the Chiefs in the postseason today or tomorrow, all right? So we're going to talk about what happened today. And that was the Buffalo Bills went out there and played easily the best game that they played all year. Even with the Panthers game last week, I would still say that this is their best game all year, just from a collective, from all 3 phases, everybody really put their best foot forward. Coach, how'd you feel about the win today?
I was quite impressed today by the win. I mean, when I looked up, I mentioned before, I was like, well, let's look at these stats. You know what I mean? Like, what's going on? Who's really doing what, right? So when I look at the stats, I'm like, oh, okay. Because, I mean, the Bills really could have put this game out of reach early, if you really ask me. But, we'll get into that in just a minute. But overall, I thought, for the most part, the Bills were the aggressor. They were aggressor, but, they did have some self-inflictions, what made the momentum shift at times and kept Kansas City in it. But for the most part, I thought the Bills really dominated the game and kind of made this Kansas City Chiefs team look kind of basic. But as they should, really, for the most part, no Pacheco. Kansas City was banged up, up front. So, the Bills' defensive line has been playing some of the best it's ever played coming off the bye week. So, they was consistent. They've been rather consistent over the past couple of weeks, and it's really shown. And they've been getting some good rush and some good coverage. So they really made this Kansas City team again, who was had a 3-game winning streak and was putting 30 points up.
Yeah,
they made them look pretty basic today. In certain phases, other than late in the game when that 4th and 17 issue and stuff like that. But yeah, for the most part, they really made Kansas City, kind of look basic. And it was a collective effort. Offense, balled out. Defense balled out. And, that's all that really mattered at the end of the day. So
we got a lot of details and nuances to get into today. And we are going to do a thorough, deep dive into this game. But real quick, I do want to ask you a question. There's speculation, a rumor, if you will, that the Kansas City Chiefs, Andy Reid and the Kansas City Chiefs, don't put their best foot forward in the regular season when they play the Bills because they want to know what the game plan is, right? They want to see what the Bills have in store for them in order for their almost inevitable playoff matchup. Now, we're here. This is week 8, I believe, week 7, week 8. And the Buffalo Bills, you would hope, if you're a Bills fan, that this isn't the final iteration of the roster. You hope you go get some wide receiver help, maybe some safety help, some linebacker help, perhaps. We'll see what happens as the trade deadline approaches. But is there any validity to Brandon Beam perhaps saving his move of whatever it is that he's going to try to do to make this roster better until after Chiefs week, so that they won't have that game plan advantage going into the postseason?
Well, right now you're looking at a Kansas City Chiefs team that is what, 4-4?
5-4.
They're 5-4. Oh yeah, because they got the bye next week, so they're 5-4. I don't know where they are right now if the season ended today. Are they on the outside looking in, or are they a 7 seed at this point? So, do you know what seed they are right now? If the season
in the hunt, if they're on the outside looking in right now.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't think that. I mean, we all know, and the Kansas City Chiefs has won when the game mattered the most, right? And that's in the postseason. But that don't take anything away from what the Bills did today. And, you know, the Bills are missing players. One thing I do know that what we saw today is that we got a guy that we got speed for speed. You know, that's what we wanted to see. So, you know, that checked that box with Matt Max and Xavier Worthy. He even got his pick today, called his shot. So, you know, we saw some things on our end that check boxes too. So they're going to have to figure out how they're going to have to match that speed up with that speed. And, you know, the Bills got no choice but to get better, you know, as long as they keep, you know, there's a lot of things they can build from. But definitely a blow with Michael Hyde going down. So
for sure.
Maybe it'd be a trade for a defensive end. I don't think really a receiver. Brady's got to get more creative. You have the weapons. You can't tell me that if you bring a Shaheed in here or a Waddle in here, then all of a sudden, like, guys is going to be miraculously wide open. You know, if they know the routes, if defenses know the routes, the concepts that you're running on pass plays, it really don't matter what route you're running. They, you know, they're going to sit on that. They're going to sit on that route. You know what I mean? So Josh is forced to do, you know, had to put the cape on, you know, so he has to be more creative. You know, he did, you know, have some nice plays, and, you know, he had some follow-up plays too. You know, some questionable calls in certain situations. That 3rd and 10. Now I don't know, why would you go bubble screen on a 3rd and 10? And you got to go up the field to get the first down. Like, you got Josh Allen. It's 3rd and 10. There's no reason for you not to be trying to go up the field with Josh Allen. You throw a bubble screen on 3rd and 10 and you off the field. And, you know, that's how momentum shifts, you know, and you can't be playing around with a team like Kansas City, because, you know, they'll make a quick adjustment and strike big chunk plays. We saw it today again, you know, so, you know, that's some stuff that, you know, they gotta clean that up. Like, you know, 4th and 2, like, why are you rushing into a hurry up on 4th and 2? Like, you supposed to make sure you got your best players and your best play, you know, out there on 4th and 2. You know, and I think the Bills, did they call a timeout and went for that? Oh, no. That was the defense.
The timeouts were on defense and special teams.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
We got a lot of stuff to go through. You mentioned Mad Max, so let's start off with the defense. All right. Patrick Mahomes, 15 of 34, well below 50%. All right, 250 yards, 0 touchdowns passing, and an INT. Probably his worst game, maybe his worst regular season game ever. Rashee Rice had 4 catches for 80 yards. Xavier Worthy had 3 catches for 23 yards and was blanketed by a blue number 31 jersey. Rookie Maxwell Hairston came in and went stride for stride with the former first-round pick. Coach, looking at Maxwell Hairston's performance tonight, we'll also talk about Cole Bishop in a bit, but looking at Maxwell Hairston's performance tonight, he went head-to-head with a very dangerous threat, very fast guy in a very capable offense with a more than capable quarterback, and he pretty much put him on ice. Looking at what does he do for this defense? Like what type of reinvigoration does he bring to this defense, and what does he help them with that they didn't have before?
Well, he kind of buys the defensive front some time, really to get to the quarterback. And sometimes it's it's a unique marriage, because if those guys can get some immediate pressure, then the quarterback is forced to either throw the ball right away or hold it right away, because the coverage is still tight coverage. He's not getting separation. So it forces the quarterback to get in panic and, started running out of scrambling out of the pocket, where the opportunity for a sack to happen, is high. So the past couple of weeks with Mad Max being there, now you got you a corner that you can be a little bit more flexible within your scheme, because now he has the speed to play man press, and he's strong in zone. On top of running 4.28. So great pick by Bean and Coach McDermott on understanding what they need to evolve defensively within their scheme, and definitely having a corner opposite of Benford, that can run and play man, is definitely something that they were lacking. So
yeah, I was just gonna ask you that, because even since Harrison's been back, granted it's been 2 games, I'm completely aware of that, but even tonight was kind of a really good test for this defense specifically. By the way, Bobby Babbitt should never call another defensive play for this team ever again. But outside of that, I feel like even Christian Benford played really well tonight, and I don't know, maybe just knowing that the other side of the field is in good hands could be, something to just boost his play. He played well with Rasul Douglas, but then when, Tre'Davious White was kind of his cornerback too, and everything was kind of shaky, he didn't play up to his standard, but he's been playing much better since Max Harrison took the field. Do you see any correlation there?
As far as what, Max
playing better with a capable CB2.
Oh, Benford and Max?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, obviously. You got the younger, speedier guy, and Harrison, and he's gonna come up and much more run support. Tre'Davious, he's the elder statesman. He's gonna come in there, he's gonna be just a savvy vet, but he's not gonna be able to run with, speedier receivers on the backside, so that's what you bring a guy like Mad Max in. And, hey, it's a good rotation right now, I believe. I really like the mix I see. In years past, they'll just let those guys collect dust on the sideline and don't let the young guys play. What I mean? Now they're letting the young guys play. It ain't about how you start, it's how you finish. I tell my guys all the time, because you got so many dogs, it ain't how you start the game, it's who's going to be finishing the game. That really count. But I like how Coach McDermott and Babbage is rotating those guys in certain situations with the right packages, if that makes sense. So they got a good combination, quality depth pieces that they can move around. And they can even get better at doing that. Just imagine if Dorian Strong was here. Do they really have a safety problem? Maybe, you can go Strong and Matt Max, and then, play with the thought of Benford going to safety with Bishop. Why let Dorian Strong collect dust, until somebody go down? Huh?
We speculated that Benford could be a potential safety option when he was drafted.
Right. So he can play that. He played it in Villanova, and in the same scheme, so he can go to safety if they choose to do it or thought about even that concept. Why waste Dorian Strong? I thought he was very good. You know, as a rookie, what he was able to do. Let's see, if he can hold it down for real over there. So now I got 2 young stud corners that's 6'1" and better. Got 1 speed demon. Dorian Strong was 4.42 physical. Then you got Benford over the top and let Cole Bishop run the yard. I think a lot of people forgetting, but since Jordan Poyer has been on the field, Cole Bishop has been a different player. I think it's the process of taking that responsibility off of him so he can just play a little bit more free. And that's what, the benefit of having a joint employer out there. He's 34 years old. He got some shit in the tank. But what he got a lot of the tank of is knowledge. And it's best when you out there playing with those guys instead of on the sideline trying to coach them about it, right? So, you gotta create it. I'm definitely gonna credit the success. The way Cole Bishop has been playing, he's been playing with because he's on the field with an all pro. You know what I mean? He's on the field with an all pro, learning on the fly rather than him having to make that call. And I think it's too much on his plate. You know what I mean? Too early, especially at that position. So I definitely credit Coach McDermott and putting Poyer back out there. That's been a plus for this defense, man. Very underrated.
Yeah, I mean, I even speculated it. A couple. I mean, the safety play was just so bad. When Rapp was out there with Bishop, and I was just like, I mean, Poyer can't be any worse. And it took a second, for them to gel and everything. But I feel like ultimately it was the right decision. I mean, if nothing else, like I said, you know that Poyer knows where to be. If nothing else, he can teach, he can mentor those guys. And he has the awareness and the knowledge now to make up for that lack of athleticism that you get, when you're longer in the tooth. You mentioned Cole Bishop, and we kind of talked about that a little bit. He absolute legacy game for Cole Bishop today. He did everything but get a turnover. I mean, he was everywhere, flying all over the field, tackles, PBUs. I mean, he got 4 PBUs at the safety position. Absolutely brilliant game. But unfortunately, we did lose a very dynamic piece. One of those guys who, Maxwell Harrison, Ogunjobi, Hoyt, those guys came in later in the season and really did kind of reinvigorate this defense a little bit. But unfortunately, Michael Hoyt went down today with what looks to be an apparent Achilles injury. And it doesn't look good. It doesn't look like it looks like he might be off the rest of the season. But he came in these last couple of weeks and just gave absolute production. And so we got a question here from my guy Rich. He wants to know, Coach Muki, who can we get to replace Hoyt in that production?
Now that's where I'll be making a trade. I'll make a trade because I think Javon Solomon could do it given the opportunity. I don't think he's really been given the opportunity. He has that type of motor, but Hoyt is a little bit more seasoned. So I think that's where the Bills need to go. Go get you a seasoned pass rusher real quick that can give you that energy and that juice that Michael Hoyt was bringing these past couple of weeks, because that has been visibly shown. Out there on the defense, 55 is back there, and it's helping the rest of the defensive line out. So that's definitely going to be missed. So if I was to make a trade, I would make a trade for, a seasoned pass rusher. Like, wish Darius Smith was still available or something like that. Just go ahead and pluck you from the free agent pool. But, I just go get a similar guy at a bargain price right now. You can get for a 1-year rental. And then hopefully, gotta get the Bills up where they need to be, and maybe Landon Jackson to kick in next year and take over, whatever the case. Or they can just go in and draft another guy. But I think that's where you probably make some sort of, nice little trade somewhere for an edge rusher. Nothing too splashy, but a seasoned vet that could be serviceable the way Michael Hoyt was. Right away, So. I would make a trade for that. I don't think the Bills need to get a receiver as far as trade. They got the receivers. You got 2 speed demons that, you got to be more creative in your play calling. You got, a red zone threat and Keon Coleman that they don't even attempt to use in the red zone, right? Can y'all just throw the ball up one time? Can it be one play for Keon Coleman? Just a 50-50 jump ball situation from 30 to 40 yards up, let's do that with him. That's and see what happens. Just do that. Throw it up, 35-yard strike, or even when you get inside the 20, isolate him and just let him jump out, just out jump everybody. Got to be creative. Brady got to be more creative in his play calling, and it's crazy that this Bills team could put up 30 points and be, pretty basic, at times. But I thought they had good balance today, and that's what really won the game, for the Bills team. You know what I mean? So, minus the 3rd and 10 and the 4th and 2. I still like to see James Cook out there on 3rd down. Sometimes, definitely on 4th down. Again, you gotta have your best player and your best play out there on 4th down. So you mean to tell me again, if this was for the AFC Championship game and it was 4th down, James Cook won't be on the field?
Cook nor Kincaid were on the field on
Yeah,
that particular play.
I'm just saying, like today was 4th and 2. He's not on the field.
Yeah.
So if this was another AFC Championship game situation on 4th down, would James Cook be out there? Because he wasn't out there last year in the AFC Championship game on 4th and 5. And a game against Kansas City right now, where every damn play matter, I gotta have my best guys out there, especially in money situations. Money situations, I gotta go with the starters. You know what I mean? There's no knock to anybody else, but I gotta go with my starters. Gotta have the threats out there. James Cook getting 5-6 yards of crack. We I don't know what was that on 4th and 2.
4th and 2 from midfield.
We in a gun on 4th and 2. Like I just don't understand.
So yeah, that's what I was mentioning. 4th and 2 from midfield. You're up 7 points, right? James Cook nor Dalton Kincaid are on the field. So as much as it's egregious to have James Cook not on the field in a situation like that, you also don't have your best pass catcher on the field in a situation like that. It just really makes you scratch your head. But that kind of brings me to a question I got for you, right? You look at this game, 2 juggernauts, really, objectively, the 2 best teams in the league over the last half decade plus, right? 2 best quarterbacks in the league over the last half decade plus. It's going to always be a close game every time they play. I can't foresee a situation where one of these teams gets blown out, right? Josh Allen has maybe his most efficient game of his career. Patrick Mahomes has maybe the most inefficient regular season game of his career.
Mm-hmm.
And yet the Bills still only win by 1 score, despite, really dominating this game. Relative to the talent level that you're playing against, this is probably the best outing that the defense has probably put together this year so far.
Yeah,
so
definitely. Especially up against a caliber team such as Kansas City, right? But again, we see it this movie before, but the way it was done today in this fashion, when like I said, when I looked at the numbers, I'm like, damn, Patrick Mahomes, he only shooting 40-some% right now, and Josh Allen, like, damn, Josh on baby fire right now. He got 23 with 20, man.
Right, but that kind of leads to the question I'm asking. If you take a look at Josh, Pat having a terrible game, Josh is having an absolute, he's on a heater, and you only win by 1 score. Are you comfortable with the offense being what it is? You said Joe Brady needs to be more creative. Are you confident that he can and will be more creative going forward in order to make this receiving core work?
He's gonna have to. He's gonna have to, because you still got 8 more games left to play, so you're gonna have to at some point. Like, I don't see the Bills making a trade for a wide receiver when you got Curtis Samuel at $8 million, you got Khalil Shakur at $13-14 million, you got Palmer at $13 million. All right, you got Keon on a rookie deal. You got Kincaid still on his rookie deal. He's top picks. So who has trade assets? Maybe Curtis Samuel, because the contract next year is you can void that contract out You know what I mean? If it's a team that's just looking to get rid of a player, clear some money, you know what I mean? You can do that with Curtis Samuel. He would probably be your best trade asset as far as that go, because you can't trade you can't trade a Keon Coleman for a Waddle, you know what I mean, and some draft picks, because contractually, the Bills ain't got enough money over the cap, you know what I mean, to even cover that trade because of Waddle's contract, So, I mean, only one. I mean, you're not gonna get rid of Palmer. He just got here. Shakur's not going anywhere. So who would you package up in the trade for another wide receiver? You would have to package Samuel, maybe, but I don't think the Bills will do that. He just have to be more creative with the pieces that he has, and they have enough weaponry for Josh Allen. He can't be conservative at certain times, like, 3rd and 10. 3rd and 10. You should not be doing a bubble screen on 3rd and 10. Go up the field. Like, games like that, like, I think if they convert there, then they keep the drive alive, and they really pull the game away. They didn't pull the game away. It would have been, I think at that point in time, it was 10-21. It was 10-21, and they gotta understand and have that killer instinct. When your defense makes the play, gets that stop, and you got a double-digit lead, and you got momentum right now, and you come out and be conservative. The very next possession, when you're supposed to be ultra aggressive to just to put the game away early. Like, if they score one more time, it's an 18-point lead. It's a 3-possession lead, and now that changed the dynamics on how Kansas City has to play. And you just, get conservative on 3rd and 10, get off the field, the momentum shift. Kansas City makes a play, go down, scores, right? Scores. Now you're looking at it like you just mentioned, it's a ball game, but the Bills pretty much dominated the game, but certain situations could have cost them the game too. If Kansas City just would have made more plays. Mahomes and them, they made plays down the stretch, but again, that balance that the Bills had early on pretty much, was the reason why the Bills were able to maintain the lead the entire game. You know what I mean? So they just got to, again, like Josh said, clean some stuff up in certain situations, man, like 4th and 2. Get your best play in on 4th and 2. Like, I don't know what you going for it on 4th and 2, and it looked like nobody know what they were doing, and I don't know, did Josh get sacked on that play? Like, it's just like that should not happen on 4th down. That should not happen on 4th down. Your best play should be called, and your best player should be out there on the field. If I'm going for it on 4th and 2 on my own 50, I'm gonna have James Cook out there. You don't know if he's getting the ball or not, but he's going to be out there. You help the defense out when you don't have your star players out there on the field when the game matters the most. And this is, again, quite evident that I'm nervous. I know it's Halloween weekend, and then it's a little spooky to know that James Cook still don't be out there in certain situations of a game, and you're playing, the creme de la creme of the league, and Bills offense get nonchalant at the wrong time, and that's why you see teams still be able to have an opportunity to get back in the game.
But okay, I agree with all of your detailed, analysis, right? But I feel like we kind of disagree on the big picture, because if you're telling me that on 4th and 2, this guy is taking off your best pass catcher and your best rushing threat. On 3rd and 10, he's throwing a bubble screen, right? On 3rd and short, he again taking off James Cook off the field, right? You got all these situations where the offensive coordinator is telling you one of two things is a fact. Either I do not trust my pass catchers to get open, so I'm not going to call these routes that I think could pick up this first down the traditional way with Josh dropping back and pass, or the offensive coordinator is not adequate enough to put it together. So you say that he has to figure it out, but the downside if he doesn't is that we go home early in the playoffs again. So it's like, are we confident that he'll just get it together, even though he's shown consistently that these are some of his shortcomings?
Well,
wouldn't it make sense to go out and get him another weapon that, you can't really game plan for?
that's just not his. I don't think that's just his idea. That's just not his offense. That's just not his scheme. That's just not who he is. And teams are, I don't want to say they picking up on it, but they are. Nothing is downfield. Really with this offense, anything is within 30 yards. They're not utilizing Josh's arm talent, and you're not creative enough with the players that you have. I don't think like some of the route concepts don't fit the player's ability. In so many words. But you got the speed to do whatever. Like you see, they got Elijah Moore going a little bit today. Josh got to hang in the pocket a little bit more sometimes. But again, it's nice to know that they are trying to take those shots, and those shots will be there down the line. You got to stay with it. Don't get rid of it because it didn't work this week. Stay, getting that game situation rep, where Josh should be more comfortable to hang in the pocket, take that that extra climb to buy time to deliver. You know what I mean? So you got to keep doing that stuff. And then as far as I go with the 3rd and 10, the bubble screen against Kansas City. I say that because last year, 3rd and 10, who got the bubble screen?
Was it Kincaid?
No. He did get a bubble screen in that game, but when the game mattered the most on that last drive, before 4th and 5, it was a bubble screen. On 3rd and 10, it was Amari Cooper. You know what I mean? So Amari Cooper got the bubble screen. And I mean, why do that play right there? You take the ball out of Josh Allen's hands when you do stuff like that. And then again, 3rd and 10, that wasn't a good play. They were all over that play. Like, you mean to tell me that's your best play on 3rd down to keep the drive alive against Kansas City, to put the game away? Like, you gotta go, I don't know, what are you holding back on? Like, you gotta go up the field. Josh Allen is 23 for 26. It's 85%. He's dealing right now. Go up the field. Go back to the play where you caught Khalil Shakur on that draft. Like, he never goes back to what works. It just, sometimes it just kind of seems like he's just calling plays. He's just calling plays. 4th and 2. Like, what are we calling? Like, we called that on 4th and 2. Like, you gotta, when you're going for it on 4th down, you better know what you're calling. You better have a play that is going to be open. You know what I mean? Like, for instance, Kansas City can scheme up 4th and 17 and guys wide open on 4th and 17.
Yeah.
4th and 17. They could scheme that open, and they did. He was wide open on 4th and 17. But we can't get 4th and 2 together because you mentioned our key players, that has any effect, that has any flow of the game, that has any type of numbers is on the sideline once again. And that's spooky to me. Like, is he going to keep doing that? And, like just because it's a thing called the 3rd down back, he doesn't have to play every 3rd down, And
right.
that stars drives. It just stars drives. So he has to be more creative. I don't think the Bills need to go get a wide receiver. I think they got a strong wide receiver room. They're just not being used right. It's more tight end and slot oriented when you look at it. They start breaking down the numbers of who the guys are. Again, they start scheming for that, and then what you have for the outside guy. Move them around. Move Keon Coleman around. Move more around. Have some deadly combinations together and trips, or when you in duel or whatever, or you in empty. Move guys around like a chess piece. To make plays. You have those weapons, so it takes time to figure it out to really get in their groove. So hopefully, within the next couple of weeks, they can really have a identity on, how to maintain this type of balance they had offensively today. If James Cook can get that ball 150 total yards in scrimmage and Josh can get that 250 and efficient how he was tonight, virtually there's be an unstoppable offense. And man, if the defense continue to play how they've been playing, then yeah, this Bills be getting back to the Super Bowl caliber team that everybody been talking about before the season began.
Yeah, I remember a couple of years ago when Pat Mahomes and the Chiefs were like first in yards after the catch, and the Buffalo Bills were dead last. I feel like the Bills, Brandon Beane maybe tried to overcorrect a little bit, where it was just like, all right, I'm going to get a bunch of guys that can run after the catch, but then you don't have guys that can necessarily separate at the point of, at the point of contact getting off the ball, or you don't have an offensive coordinator who can facilitate that. But last year, there was something that you said a lot. It was, let James cook. You said it almost every week. Give James Cook the football. And they finally listened to you, Coach. James Cook had 27 carries, 114 yards. Every single game that he's gone over, or he's averaging over 100 yards a game, by the way. Every single game that he's gone over 100 yards, the Buffalo Bills have won. And he did that today. What does James Cook mean to this offense?
Well, it means a lot. It means everything, really. I mean, he's evolving as a running back, and, you got to give the running backs, their just due. They're back, okay? Like, I know it was the market, and running backs weren't getting no love. They got a life expectancy of 4 years, don't pay them no big contracts and stuff like that. But that running back market has reset itself, and to the point where a lot of people didn't think James Cook was good enough last year, or whatever the case may be. At times he was ridiculed about certain things, but you got to look at what the player is going to evolve to be. And he's Dalvin Cook 2.0. He's a game-breaking talent. Like he's a home run hitting type of guy. The more he touches the ball, the better he gets. He's a new age every down back, but he don't get utilized that way. You know what I mean? When you look at James Cook was brought in to be a receiving back. You had Devin Singletary, as the bell cow here, at first. So, James was the receiving back. He did that in Georgia. Zamir White was the bell cow guy. James Cook was an empty, catching stand-ups and slants and wheel routes and stuff like that. He had a few mishaps here from catching the ball, and it seemed like he, I don't know, they just stopped throwing him the ball. But you got to utilize a weapon like that, and he's showing you every time. You know what I mean? Like, he can take it to the house. Any given moment, he has that ability. So for the Bills to get that at the price they got it now, definitely looks like a steal, because hell, he's on pace to having a career year rushing wise. And hey, if he can get another 200 here and 200 there, he'd be knocking on the door for just like Saquon did for 2,000. And you paying Saquon $20 million. You only paying James Cook 12.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I feel like it was a pretty consensus last year that James Cook was good. Great even. I feel like this year he has taken that next step into the league. I am fully comfortable saying that James Cook is the top 5 back in the league, and I would argue he might be top 3. He is running with just a different ferocity. You mentioned that he's Dalvin Cook 2.0. One person that I see every time I see him run, I just see Le'Veon Bell. I see prime Le'Veon Bell when he runs. He runs so patient. He waits for the hole. As soon as he gets even a glimpse of a hole, he's bursting through it. Yards after the contact balance, the speed, the breakaway speed. Like you mentioned, he can step outside the lines and run routes and complete passes. I mean, he really should be used in the pass game a lot more because he actually is a viable option as a receiving threat. And that's not even just coming out the backfield. He can line up and run a route. So I think he's actually being underutilized somehow. But again, that just goes back to me saying he's top 3 back in the league. Saquon, Christian McCaffrey. I can't think of a third back that Jonathan Taylor, sure. But I don't think that they all can do what he can do, especially in this offense where you have Josh Allen and you have a great offensive line. I feel like you put James Cook against a middle line or a linebacker or a safety, that should be barbecue chicken. And I would like to see. We keep saying it, but you just want to see some more creativity from this offense. But nonetheless, hey man, they got the W today, and that is all you can ask for. Who was your player of the game if you had to give it to somebody?
Well, Josh got to get a game ball. You throw 85% completion against Kansas City. I got to get an O-line a game ball because you got over 100-yard rusher and your quarterback is efficient as he was. That means the offensive line is definitely, kicking some ass up there. So I got to get an O-line a game ball. I'm not going to get James Cook in game ball because now I'm expecting James Cook to have 100 yards every game. So he was very good today, but he already got a game ball last week for rushing. But O-line, Josh Allen on the offense, Kincaid. Let's get Kincaid a game ball for man. It's good to know that Josh, he got a leading receiver. Now this is the definition of everybody eat. Now we can get Keon Coleman a few more catches. Those guys got to get more catches. At some point, when Josh was 23 for 26. So yeah, anywhere between 25 to 30 attempts for Josh is solid. And if he can be efficient, it's kind of like they did clean some things up because when you look at the Carolina Panthers game, Josh was 15 for 19 or something like that. 12. He was rather efficient in the Carolina game, but he didn't have the yards, And he'd had some misreads. He had some misreads in that game that could have been some easy completed passes. So, whatever it was, he definitely got a little bit more sharper going 23 for 26 today. He got, they was taking some shots down the field, some deep crossing routes and, taking their shots. But, he gotta keep that going. I want to see some consistency there and, now some setup plays. But he definitely going to have to be a little bit more creative second half of the season.
Yeah, I agree. It'll be interesting to see what happens. Again, I can be as critical as I want to be. But in my logical mind and my heart of hearts, I know that for whatever reason, every year the Bills have just this offensive lull where they look clueless. And then they randomly just pick it back up and go on a streak and then make a deep playoff run. So, I have no reason not to fully expect that same thing to happen, especially after the outputs of last week and this week. Two big wins. The Panthers came out today and beat, a really good team. So it's not like, they were just a team to be walked over. The Bills went out there and played a really, really good game versus two really, really talented opponents in back-to-back weeks coming off of a bye. And you do have to give them credit for that. It'll be interesting to see what happens going forward, whether or not they make a trade, who they make a trade for, what position is that trade, going to facilitate, and how the team, can rally around whatever piece comes in to make a deep run. But I will say, Colts lost today. All right. Bills are one game back in the 1 seed. Also, half a game back in the AFC East.
So the damn Patriots is the #1 seed right now.
Are they?
Yeah, I mean, if the Colts lost, the Colts got 2 losses right now.
Yeah, but the Patriots, they got the same record. I don't know who got the
They got the same record as the Bills. Everybody got 2 losses, but we ain't got the half game up on them. So I mean, they gotta be,
because we had a bye week. The Colts and the Patriots haven't had a bye week yet.
Yeah, but I mean, they lost, so they can't still be the #1 seed. Well, it's getting, it's a lot of parity, I'll say. It's a lot of parity, I'll say, and if the Bills woulda, shoulda, coulda, they could still be probably undefeated, right? You know what I mean? If they had this, if they had this type of chemistry going, 2 weeks ago, they could be easily undefeated right now. So,
Yeah,
all
absolutely.
about being healthy and consistent. Right now, way I'm looking at how this NFL is shaping up, because anybody could get beat on a week-to-week basis. You just saw Carolina, get spanked, and then they go into Green Bay and just beat the Green Bay Packers in Green Bay, and so and Green Bay looked like a machine last week, right? So
Yeah.
you never know. You just never know. It was a few other upsets out there today in the NFL. So it's a lot of parity that's going on, and it's a fight to the finish. I can tell you that much. But big win today for this Bills team, and right now, I will put them in that driver's seat because it's a big win versus Kansas City, and Kansas City is going to beat a lot of top teams in the AFC. So the Bills have definitely had that advantage over them. And let's not forget, Kansas City and the Colts do lock horns, sometime soon. So all this stuff is really going to shake out, and the Bills are going to definitely have some advantages when it comes to tiebreaker situations with a big win today.
It'll be really interesting to see who will be rooting for in that game, because never in my wildest imagination that I think I would ever be rooting for the Chiefs to beat the Colts. But as of right now, the Colts are your 1 seed. They only have 1 conference loss. The Patriots have 2 conference losses, so they're the 2 seed. Same with the Broncos are the 3 seed. Pittsburgh Steelers sit at 5 and 3, are the 4 seed, obviously because they lead their division. Bills and Chargers 5 and 6 seeds. Jacksonville Jaguars is 7 seed, and then the Chiefs, Texans, Ravens are on the outside, and Bengals are on the outside looking in.
The Bills are 5th seed. They 6 and 2. 5th seed. That's how it's competitive. It's competitive.
The AFC is stacked this year, and everybody's playing really, really well. It'll be interesting to see how this shakes out, because the Bengals, the Ravens, the Chiefs are all on the outside looking in, and the Colts, Patriots, Broncos, Steelers, Chargers, Bills, I would say, the Jaguars actually look decent too. They all look like pretty good teams. So, something's going to have to give at some point.
Well, they're going to start playing each other and start knocking them off. That's all that is. When you look at the Colts really ain't played Kansas. They ain't played Kansas City. They ain't played Houston or Jacksonville yet. You know what I mean? So things gonna really start shaking out for them once they really get into the meat and potatoes of their schedule. So on a week to week, anybody can get beat. But defensively for the Bills, my game boss, defensive line. They went out there. It was a definitely team effort. You got Deion Walker out there plugging stuff. Jordan Phillips plugging. How about Mathis? I thought Mathis played well in the New England game, and I thought that the Bills would, bring him up, for the Carolina game, but they didn't. But it was good to see, him out there, in that rotation as well. I thought that, he definitely brings something to the table when he's out there. And then obviously with Hoyk and Bosa, those guys are, making plays. AJ Epineza, he's out there making a play, making his presence felt. So game ball to the D line, and obviously Mad Max. Got to give one to my guy Mad Max. Big moments of the game where Normally Worthy would win that battle and make it look easy. He was pretty much on straps today, by the rookie from out of Kentucky. Was able to run to him, run with him on a 9 route. Was forced to incompletion. And I don't know if they got off the field that play, but there was definitely a big boost. I know Coach McDermott was very excited to know that, he was step for step with their guy that could blow the top off, right?
Yeah.
Play man, he's able to run with them, and that's what's been missing in Coach McDermott's system. A guy that can play man and run with the other team's fastest man. And that's where the Bills were really losing games and losing ground, because they didn't have a speed guy that could run, with the other team's speed guy. Now they have that in Maxwell Harrison, and, it was good to see him making plays. And I think that, man, he's only going to get better, from today's performance, doing what he did.
Booster for sure.
He went out and said he won't pick Patrick Mahomes off. I wouldn't be surprised if my guy Zach did a clip of that and actually putting that clip up, of him doing that. So, shout out to the rookie, man, for making plays. Your first pick against Patrick Mahomes, very monumental stuff.
Absolutely. Big shout out to the rook. Big shout out to the defense overall. Very, very big day. Kept, Patrick Mahomes, some people's GOAT, less than 50%. Just a bad day for Patrick Mahomes overall. Didn't even throw a touchdown pass, which I don't know. He just came into this game 3 straight games with 3 touchdown passes and didn't throw a single one today. So very, very big way to step up. And with that, a couple of those plays on Worthy, I feel like for the most part, I'm going to say 85% chance that any other cornerback in the Bills' recent history, if Worthy is running a go route on them, man, he's beating them. And it's going to be a huge play, just like the Hollywood Brown one was earlier in the game, right before halftime. Just the big play where coverage was busted. I feel like that's usually
what you see. Busted. It was a wheel route. They were in man, and
the pick play.
They were in man, and Ingram was matched up against Hollywood Brown at the number 2, and we know he's not going to be able to run with him, especially if he run that well and get picked. It was just a good play call. Safety needs to be a little bit more over the top. I don't know if it was Hancock or Bishop back there.
Bishop.
Need to be a little bit more over the top on the trip side in that. So I'm quite sure Coach Jamil did got him, make sure that his line is a little bit more better in that situation. But other than that, that play can't help it either. The big chunk plays, in certain situations, they catch you like that. But it's a good play call. They recognize Bills was a man. Ingram, he's a rangy guy. He's not a speed guy. And, they dial up the wheel route, good wheel route, because it was, like you mentioned, the pick play, he couldn't get over the top. And, Hollywood Brown do have some speed with him now. So, good play. This is what we're talking about, creativity and play design. You see it in the Kansas City Chiefs. We don't see it too much, in this Bills offense. And, again, they putting up 30 points. So, that's the scary situation. When they get their shiggity together, then, man, you're going to definitely say this team is going to be a force to reckon with. They're going to be a problem every week. And definitely, going to the Super Bowl. I mean, everybody want to see them start playing like it. And the past couple of weeks they have. So just got to stay consistent, stay healthy, stay consistent. And, it's a week-to-week league. Keep stacking dubs.
Buffalo Bills put the league on notice with a win over the Kansas City Chiefs, 28-21. Make sure you guys tune in with us later in the week. I got all 22. I got the NFL package or whatever. So we're going to go through some of these plays and show you guys what's going on with Coach. A little bit more in-depth analysis on that. So we're going to head out. Happy Victory Monday to those of you who celebrated tomorrow. And for Coach Muki Hawkins, I am Justus General, and we are out. Thank you guys so much for every single like, comment, retweet, share, repost. We love it. We appreciate you all. Go Bills.
Go Bills.